Welcome to Atlanta Community Profiles, a show about living in Atlanta. Atlanta Community Profiles is hosted by Lou Whelan, who will talk to experts who know this ever-changing city and its real estate industry. We'll talk to mayors, community leaders, and commercial and residential real estate experts. And now, here's Lou Whelan with this week's Atlanta Community Profiles.
Hello and welcome to our show. My name is Lou Whelan. I publish the official relocation guides on Atlanta that are distributed by the First Multiple Listing Service of Atlanta. We have 5 publications, one for the metro area, one for North Fulton in partnership with the North Fulton Chamber of Commerce, one for Gwinnett County in partnership with the Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce, one for Cobb County that's published in partnership with the Cobb Association of Realtors, and one for Inside 285. They are available in most all real estate brokerage firms and chambers of commerce at no charge, so stop in and pick up a free copy. They're also on my website with along with a great deal of other information about Atlanta, and that site address is atlantacommunityprofiles.com. I'm also a commercial realtor with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Georgia Properties, and my website is LouWhelan.com. If I can help you in any way, let me know. And so every week we interview community leaders, and today we're welcoming back my friend who's been on the show probably 5 times, once a year over the last 5 years, Mayor Michael Bodker, who's done a phenomenal job in at Johns Creek as mayor, and he's like the founding father almost. I don't know if you like that term or not, but
I refer to myself as the frog in the pot.
The what?
The frog in the pot. You know the story of the frog in the pot. You know,
No.
if you throw a frog in a pot of boiling water, it's smart enough to jump out. But if you throw a frog in a pot of lukewarm water and then turn up the heat, you get soup.
Gradually.
So I'm soup.
Yeah, so they don't know the difference. Because you've been there, you've been in the pot,
13
quote, unquote,
years.
since 2006, right? The
Correct.
first mayor. He graduated from Lakeside High School and graduated from the University of Georgia. How'd you like that football game? Don't you think that was really the
It was
national
great for 3
championship?
quarters. You realize if last year and this year we had just played 3 quarters of the football game, Georgia would be national champions and the SEC champions right now. But unfortunately, there's 4 quarters in a football game.
Yeah, and there's a bonehead calls too. that fake punt was one for the record book. I don't know. Anyway, he graduated from Georgia, and he is your founding partner. Actually, you're a CEO, I guess, of Next Dimension Technology. What do you all do over there?
We sell and implement business technology solutions around accounting software and business intelligence.
Okay, so he's over my pay grade, a high-tech guy. He was instrumental in founding the North Fulton Municipal Association, and in 2008 and 9, the Metro Atlanta Mayors Association selected Mike as chairman, and he was also voted to serve a second term in that proverbial pot that you talked about. So he's Georgia Municipal Association Revenue and Finance Policy Committee chair in 2009, and on the Atlanta Regional Commission. Are you still on that?
No, so those are pretty far back. My more recent things are I serve in leadership in a national mayors organization, a couple of them, and I served a few years ago as the president of the Georgia Municipal Association.
Okay.
Or as my wife liked to say when we first met, she goes, "Boy, you've really done some stuff." And I guess if you want to get stuff done, give it to someone who's busy.
That's what I heard, yeah. So you are a busy guy. You are married to a beautiful wife, and you have a beautiful young daughter who's 2.5.
I'm very fortunate to have Lisa and Emma in my life, and along with Jake and Carrie, my 16-year-old twins. But I'll tell you what, being my age, and I'm old for those who don't know that, and having a 2.5-year-old, it's a lot of fun. She keeps me young, and she keeps us laughing. It's the perfect age. I'm having so much fun with her.
Yeah, when you walked into the studio, I thought, wow, you look great. You must be some kind of Olympic guy or something,
Or it could be just chasing that little kid around the house.
Yeah, that sounds plenty of aerobic exercise right there. So, Mike, you have done a phenomenally good job as mayor. and it's all the accolades that you've received since 2006 when you started it. You were started as on your homeowners association. I guess that's what happens when you get on a homeowners association.
Well, that was the start of me
in.
being in the pot of lukewarm water. As I started as our HOA's first president, and then I became a board member of the Johns Creek Community Association, which is an umbrella organization for HOAs. And then when Sandy Springs was about to become a city, I felt that defensively we needed to look into doing something. And eventually that led to us creating the city of Johns Creek, and I sort of ran the campaign for yes vote and explaining to folks what it would be like. And I think after doing that, they said, well, if you're going to tell us what it's going to be like, you need to go make it happen. And I've pretty much been serving mayor since. I'm in my 13th year now, as of December 1st, of being the mayor of Johns Creek.
Are you planning to run again in the next?
No.
You're not?
So
you getting out of that pot?
I think it's time to get out of the pot. I think the soup's been boiling long enough. I love the city of Johns Creek, and I love what I do, and I could honestly do it forever, but that wasn't the intent. I never intended to actually be mayor, and it's been a great run. But I think at some point you got to turn the reins over to someone else. And I will also tell you that I've gone through a lot serving in public service for these last 6 or 7 years as compared to the beginning. And for me personally, I don't like the climate that we're in the public service arena. And I think that if the climate can't change, it's going to drive good people away. And I'm one of them.
Well, we're Facebook friends, and you articulated that on Facebook, and I liked it, by the way, because I know it's true. And it's not only local, but it's national and regional and anything.
It is, and I'll tell you what, there's an old adage that people get the government they deserve, and the folks in America need to wake up. And they're either going to not put up with this anymore, the negativity, the extreme partisanship, and they're either going to demand solutions to the problems as opposed to folks demagoguing the issues, or they're going to get the government they deserve. And right now they're headed toward getting the government they deserve.
Yeah, I know, and I don't know the answer, Michael, but something does need to change, I know, in that respect. And what is that, a kinder, gentler, what we need is a kinder, gentler, as President Bush, Herbert Walker Bush would say, a kinder, gentler world is what we really need.
For me, it's just more practical, looking at issues more practically, and looking for solutions instead of looking to take credit. I think at the end of the day, if your goal is to actually solve the problem and not promote yourself, then it's just about finding the solution and working as hard as you can to get that solution implemented.
So, Michael, your median household income in Johns Creek is around $112,000. You are, you're probably the wealthiest community in the state of Georgia, aren't you?
I think we lost our distinction. I think we're now the second wealthiest community in Georgia. I think Milton, Georgia's edged us out.
Oh, is that right? Well, you have 85,000 people. You have a lot more people than they do.
We do. We're certainly the wealthiest large city in Georgia.
Well, by far. The 85,000 population, Milton is 13,000.
About 30, I think.
30, are they? Okay. And the median home value in your city is actually a lot higher than it's reported to be in some places. It's over 400,000.
Yes. It's hard to replace a house in Johns Creek if you want to stay within the city without spending a lot more than you probably did on the house you're in. And so that is creating some issues. A lot of that is driven by the fact that we are a fairly low-density town. Our average density is just over 2 units per acre, which is very low density. Certainly not as low as a place like Milton, where it's by design, less than a unit per acre. But by suburban standards, we're very low. And what that does is that does not create a lot of opportunities for folks to downsize in an affordable house. And so and then you combine that with the fact that our schools are still second to none. A person putting their kids in any school in Johns Creek, public or private, will be getting some of the best education that one can get anywhere in the country. And that's a magnet, and it brings lots of people to Johns Creek. And quite honestly, it's the reason for our success.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, businesses will locate in areas that have good schools.
They will.
And they won't locate into areas. That's a big key. No matter what they have, prices or whatever, they go there, they look, they check out the school. If the school doesn't hold water, no way.
Safety in schools, 2 drivers.
So your city is 32 and a half square miles. You're in Fulton County, and you have received a lot of accolades. And when we get back after the break, we're going to articulate some of those that you have received under your outstanding leadership. So stay tuned. Be right back. Welcome back. I'm sitting here with Mike Bodker, mayor of the great city of Johns Creek, kind of the founding father, really, of the city since the first mayor they've had, and he was the one that was kind of led the movement to incorporate the city. And under your leadership, Michael, you have achieved so many accolades, for such as over the last couple of years, safest city in the state. You have, quote, best place to live in Georgia, best suburb to live in, most culturally diverse small city in the U.S., and safest city, number 1, safest city, best city to live in the United States, best suburb to live in Georgia, best place for first-time homebuyers, which is kind of surprising because they can't afford it. If they wish they could afford it.
Best place for some who have money.
Best place to live if you're a first-time homebuyer with a lot of money, because it's not cheap.
My favorite accolade actually came last year. So we have the best dog park in America.
Best dog park.
And so you think that's not important, but I will tell you this, Lou. It's very interesting. We will get calls every so often at City Hall asking us when our dog park closes that evening. Wow. And we'll always ask why, and they say, because we're driving through Georgia, and we've heard about your dog park, and we want to bring our dog to your dog park. So I can safely say that a lot of animals have spent their time and probably peed in Johns Creek.
Well, that's an interesting, unique distinction. Having the dog park that's most peed in by dogs out of state or out of the city. So that nobody is going to take you that. You're going to keep that one. And we have a lot to talk about today, Mike. But one thing I want to ask you about is this: you've been mayor since 2006. What accomplishment are you most proud of in the time that you've been there?
Lou, for me, there's a couple of things. One, pointing to no particular thing, the one thing I can say is that I'm proud of what we've accomplished as a whole. When I think about the reasons why I led this effort to look at cityhood, what wasn't working then and what's working now, we've corrected all but one of those issues. And, of course, that one issue being traffic, and most of that's out of our control. Mm-hmm. If you ask me what my greatest accomplishment was, it would actually be something that I was able to do as mayor, but not necessarily directly with the city of Johns Creek, and that was the creation of the Mama event at the circus that we were able to do until Barnum and Bailey went out of business. And that was an opportunity to bring thousands of special need children from all around the metro area. All the mayors got a chance to get tickets for families with special needs kids. We brought them down to the circus for a special performance, a special pre-circus performance. Then they got to see the real, the whole circus. Mm-hmm. They got to interact with the performers. Mm-hmm. And for me, that was so moving because of the impact you could see that it had on the moms and dads. And to see the joy in these mm-hmm. kids' eyes and their faces, it's something that I will never forget my entire time.
One thing I also wanted to ask you, Mike, is I know you for a long time, and I know you have a good heart for helping other people. And I was just wondering, what was, looking back on these years, what was your primary motivation in asking for all this work and difficulty?
When I was running for office the first time, and people would say, "Why are you doing this?" And traffic was certainly top of mind, but I would tell them a story that unfortunately is almost as true today as it was then, and that's the unfortunate part. I had my 16-year-old twins were about Emma's age at that time, and I would drive them 4.7 miles to their daycare, and that 4.7 miles, depending on when I left, could either take me an hour or it could take me 15 minutes. And to do it in 15 minutes, I had to leave at such an ungodly early time. No one should have to get up at that time, and it's not quality of life. And that was my big motivator, because I actually could draw the line between problem and solution. I wish we had made better progress, but unfortunately, I could not anticipate the growth around us that's occurred, which everything that we've done gets countered by all that extra growth that happens north of us in South Forsyth, in other areas. But for me, the motivation really is one that's personal, but it applies to everyone, and that is just create a better quality of life for my family, and by doing so, I'm creating a better quality of life for everybody's families.
Mm-hmm. Well, you certainly went overboard in that regard, based on all of the accolades.
I appreciate you saying it. It takes a team effort, and the team that I often thank the most is the staff of the city of Johns Creek, because the reality is that as an elected official, I get the opportunity to make some decisions on policy, but at the end of the day, the implementation of that and whether it's successful or fails is really as a result of the staff. We are very fortunate in Johns Creek to have had, both past and present, some of the best in municipal service.
Mm-hmm. Well, I agree with you on that, and to the extent that, I've been reading Forbes magazine for 50 years, and one of the things I remember, Malcolm Forbes, who started it, he's always said that it's really the CEO. As the CEO goes, so goes the company, and the same thing is true for a city. And to that degree, I agree with you, and I congratulate and I salute you
Thank you
for everything that you've done. And I would like to talk about the new Johns Creek 2008 comprehensive plan. And let's see, you had a meeting in October, right? Didn't you have a meeting in October?
So we've now passed our update. So 2008 was our original comp plan, and we've now passed a 2018 comp plan. And that update does a lot of things, but I think it is really a testament to the success of a community coming together to decide what its future is going to be like. It wasn't elected officials deciding. Mm-hmm. It was the community. And in fact, we made very little changes to the plan that was sent up really from a community group all the way through to our planning commission and finally to the city council. But what it does is it puts a cap on growth in the city of Johns Creek, recognizes that we're the premier residential community, and we'd like to stay that way. And we're going to allow growth in just a limited area within the city, mostly in the Tech Park area where we'll have our town center, as well as in the extreme southwest part of the city. And outside of that, we're really clamping down on growth in the residential areas to try to protect that thing that we hold so dear.
Mm-hmm. So now you're going to have a new city hall, and I've seen some drawings, and I know we talked before the show about the exact nature of those drawings, but tell me about the plan for the city hall and the surrounding area. Will it be like Alpharetta City Hall in the area?
I actually think it'll be unlike everybody. Okay. So one, it's on the water, and I don't know any metropolitan area city in at least in the Atlanta area that will be on water. Mm-hmm. Our city hall is actually on one of the two ponds as part of a 20-acre linear park that we are building. The city hall is we took a 76,000-foot existing building, and we're expanding it to be 91,000 square feet. We'll take occupancy by the end of March. It'll be our permanent city home, and we're excited about that. We're going to bring all of our city services under one roof, and I think that'll be convenient for the citizens not to have to go to multiple places. And so we're excited about that. It also is our anchor. I mean, we're anchoring our own town center. So the rest of our parcel, which is about 6.5 acres, but the city hall only takes up a couple, and some land around us will hopefully be the genesis of our town center. And in terms of area, it's a little bit on scale with, let's say, Swanee, in terms of land area that we can build on. It can certainly grow over time. In terms of height and density, I think it will be more on par with some of the smaller suburban towns. I don't think the city of Johns Creek is looking for a Buckhead as comparison. And but I think it will be high quality and it will be unique. And I think that's what we're really going for.
So you have some. It will be located near Medlock Bridge Road.
Correct. It'll be in between the 141 North and Technology Parkway, and it's sort of bisected by Lakefield Drive.
Okay.
And it actually, our city hall is right next to our Lifetime Fitness.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're here sitting here with the mayor of Johns Creek, Michael Bodker, and not a stranger to Atlanta Community Profiles radio show. And we're happy to have him back. And he has a new 2018 comprehensive plan, and he calls it the next steps will include revision and fine-tuning of current zoning codes and the development of localized master plans to add architectural standards and greater specificity to the plan's established allowable heights, densities, uses, and visual examples of desired development.
And in plain English,
sounds pretty sophisticated,
right? But in plain English, it's really just maintaining the high quality standards that we have in Johns Creek, but putting a better definition and expectation, so that folks who want to come and develop within Johns Creek will know what the bar is, and that it'll be high from the get-go, and it's really also protecting that residential character that we love so much.
So, Michael, if you were to give a charge to the commercial realtors out there about how to work with you on this, implementing some of the plans, what would you say to them?
Well, it wouldn't just be commercial developers. It would be commercial and residential. So we want a vibrant, appropriately scaled town center. And appropriate scaled is to be determined, but people should think more Swanee than Buckhead, and or Duluth than Buckhead. And again, no offense to Buckhead, it's just not for the suburbs. And so they should certainly bring us the best and the brightest ideas. They should look at the available land. They should buy it now because I think it's going to go up in value as we get more firm plans on the ground. And so the best time to get in is get in early on the ground floor.
Well, how do we go about buying it?
Well, I think the realtors know how to do that, and that's why they're lucky to have people like you who can help them make those purchases.
And now, I know I met with your people already a few times, actually, and brought some clients over there. And I know you already are talking about specific pieces of land that look pretty promising. I've already showed some of them. And right along Medlock Bridge Road seems to be pretty appealing to a lot of people. Now, but you're
certainly, if you're looking for car counts, it is some of the highest in the city.
Yeah, and of the affluent too, affluent car counts. So now the restaurants I heard are a pretty high priority for you in terms of getting some nice quality, unique dining establishments.
I think unique is the key. I mean, there's lots of chain restaurants in Metro Atlanta. I think that Johns Creek folks are pretty picky, and I'd also like to see us become a little bit more destination-oriented. One of the things I really appreciate about Decatur is that it's a foodie heaven, and I'd love to see Johns Creek compete with a Decatur in that regard. We've got some phenomenal restaurants in Johns Creek, and those are all locally owned and operated, and I'd love to see more of that in Johns Creek to give people a reason who live there to enjoy themselves, but also give people who don't live in Johns Creek an opportunity to come to Johns Creek.
So here's another question for you on that paradigm. What is the future of white tablecloth restaurants?
I don't know. You know, people have only so much expendable income. When it's something someone wants, they'll spend on it. But there's only so many people who can spend on white tablecloth restaurants.
Large white table restaurants seem to be going out of style.
No, I definitely think restaurants are getting smaller. They're getting more intimate, and they're getting cooler. And I think, and I don't mean the temperature, I mean the
Right.
atmosphere.
Yeah.
And so I think people are looking for a hip, fun, small, intimate place, and they're looking for food quality and great service.
Ambiance, good
Correct.
ambiance, good food, good management is really important too. Another thing I know that you're very proud of, Mike, is parks.
Yes.
And you've done a lot in your terms with parks. I'd like to ask you, before the break, you have a minute and a half to tell us a little bit about what you're most proud of with that in that regard.
I'm most proud of what's yet to come. So we passed a park bond, $40 million park bond. We have acquired land for 5 new parks. We're going to refresh 4 existing parks, and one of those parks will be larger on scale than Piedmont Park in the city of Atlanta and on the Chattahoochee River. I don't know what anyone could ask for than an opportunity to stroll along the Chattahoochee River in this beautiful, almost farm-like setting that we'll be creating with Cauley Creek / Quail Hollow Park. That's not the name of it. That's just the acquisitions that we've done. It's going to be over 200 acres.
So how did you get that land? Did you buy that land?
We
you
did.
Bought that?
We did.
Negotiated with the owner, not annexation.
No.
You actually purchased.
We purchased the land.
Invested in.
We did. And I think that's an investment in the future of the people of Johns Creek.
Well, one thing about parks is it does appeal to millennials.
It appeals to everyone. Parks are universal.
And
everyone wants a good
active
park.
adults and millennials seem to really gravitate to
And special needs, which is also important because you really need to create a park environment that is adaptable for everyone.
So stay tuned. We'll be right back, and we're going to talk about the schools, which is, I know, another high point that you can be very proud of, your involvement in getting that going, and parental involvement in the schools, which I know you're very proud of. So stay tuned. Welcome back. We're sitting here with the mayor of the great city of Johns Creek. Are you the 9th largest city in Georgia or the 10th largest?
Well, so now that the city of South Fulton got formed, we got bumped down to number 10.
no,
But we're still in the top 10.
Top
That
10.
matters.
You know, one thing, too, that is interesting is that you're pretty diverse culturally. 25% international.
So we have a high school, one of 4 high schools that feeds the city of Johns Creek, 3 of which are located within our borders, that is majority minority, and that minority is mostly Asian, either of Indian or Korean Chinese descent. We have an elementary school that a few years ago, when I went to their International Day, had more than 50 countries represented in its student body. So we are definitely a diverse city, and we celebrate that now. We have an international festival that we hold once a year. This will be our 2nd year holding it, and it had incredible attendance last year, and its purpose is to celebrate our diversity and to really showcase it to the rest of Metro Atlanta.
So the T-Splosh you mentioned that was helpful in getting traffic and parks addressed.
Well, T-Splosh was about congestion relief and safety. We and other cities in Fulton County outside the city of Atlanta passed a T-Splosh to provide accelerated funding to get these projects done. We are well underway in the planning stages of the improvement of McGinnis Ferry Road, which is the northern border of Johns Creek. We're pretty far along in an improvement along Haynesbridge Road, which will provide the Newtown area of Johns Creek better access to Georgia 400 and the malls in Alpharetta. Sometimes I joke and say we're the residential community proudly serving Alpharetta's commercial district. We are just starting a conversation about Jones Bridge Road and some of the improvements along Jones Bridge Road to get traffic to flow better on what is essentially our second north-south corridor. And then we'll start working on some other projects that are T-SPLOST related that are in what we call the Tier 1 phase of T-SPLOST. So we divided it into 3 tiers. The highest priority projects are in Tier 1. Your next highest in Tier 2 likely will never get to Tier 3, at least not with T-SPLOST funds.
So that was really as you mentioned earlier, that's one of the reasons you got into this.
It was
position.
probably the reason more than anything.
Wasn't the money, really? Was it?
No, it certainly wasn't. It's essentially a volunteer gig, even though there's some compensation involved. But for the time compared to the compensation, as my wife likes to remind me, I'm probably making well less than minimum wage.
Yeah, I know, because by the time you consider all your hours.
And I wouldn't do it for the money anyways. That's not its purpose. It's public service.
The WAS program that you have is one of what 6 or 7 in the nation that have that, or are you one of the top, or maybe in the state? How many cities have that? What complicated WAS? Is it WAS or WAZ?
The Waze program.
Waze.
So Waze is, of course, is an application that folks can use on their phone for direction. We have a partnership with Waze, and we were the first in the nation to launch many of the things that we've done. Mm-hmm. And but we're closely working with them because they share data with us that helps us know better how people are making their way through Johns Creek. And as I've told people before, most people are going through Johns Creek. They're not actually ending in Johns Creek. We are a pass through to other areas that folks tend to be going to north and south, east and west of us. So it's very helpful from that standpoint. And by the same token, we share data with them so that they can improve their application so it can be more usable.
Now, that has something to do with the traffic lights, too, and timing to get through traffic lights?
No, it doesn't. We do that separate from all that. But it does give us some insight into which lights we need to probably retime.
But you do have some kind of a program addressing that, I think.
We do. We have a couple of programs. One, we've started what is very similar to the HERO program, where when we have accidents on our main roads, we have trucks that are dedicated to clearing those out because that can completely clog up the works. And then secondly, we have a intelligent traffic system and active monitoring 24 hours a day so that we can manually adjust the lights as needed almost immediately to flush traffic. Okay. That said, there's still too many cars and too little road, and no matter what we do, you're still going to get stuck in traffic during peak hours.
So that's brings us to the next topic, which of course is education. And in your experience, since 2006, how has education changed in Johns Creek? The quality, the kind of the level of quality, the programs, everything. The whole thing.
Luckily, the only changes we've really experienced are more schools. So when I moved to Johns Creek in 1998, there was an elementary school just coming under construction right next to where I moved. That school opened. But since then, we've had multiple schools open. We have a new high school, Johns Creek High School. Not so new anymore, but new to Johns Creek. We have a new middle school, Autry Mill Middle School, opened since the city was formed. And we've had lots of improvements to the schools. But the thing that stayed the same, which is the anchor to our city, is the level of education is second to none. Almost all of our schools are blue ribbon schools of excellence. I just had the opportunity to participate in the awards of 3 of those this year, 1 to a private school and 2 to public elementary schools within our city. And
you could name those already if you don't mind.
Lake Windward Elementary, Shea Greg Elementary, and Holy Redeemer. And or Blessed Trinity. I'll actually have to look that one up. But we've had awesome opportunities within the city of Johns Creek for